Night descends upon the sprawling grounds of Chateau de Versailles, where the grand facade, illuminated faintly by the silver glow of the moon, casts long shadows that ripple like whispers across the manicured gardens. This palace, the crown jewel of French royalty, stands not only as a monument to human ambition and opulence, but also as a silent witness to the darker secrets that have seeped into its very stones. The immense scale of Versailles is overwhelming. 700 rooms, miles of corridors, and gardens laid out with mathematical precision. Yet beneath this surface of grandeur lies an undercurrent of unease, a sense that the palace harbors more than just the echoes of courtly laughter and royal decree. Versailles, with its glittering halls and gilded mirrors, has long fascinated historians and visitors alike. It is a testament to the heights of extravagance achieved by the French monarchy, a symbol of absolute power turned to art. But as the night deepens, so do the shadows that cling to its walls. The palace's reputation stretches beyond its architectural marvels. Whispered legends tell of a restless presence that lingers in its vast chambers, a spectral energy born of tragedy, betrayal, and the crushing weight of history. The moonlight glints off the countless windows, each one a portal into stories untold. Stories that flicker in the half-light like ghostly apparitions. Versailles is no ordinary mansion. It is a vault of secrets, a place where the line between past and present blurs. Visitors speak in hushed tones of unexplained chills that snake down the spine, of flickering candle flames that dance without wind, and shadows that shift just beyond the reach of the eye. These tales are not mere fanciful stories whispered to thrill tourists. For centuries, those who have dwelled within or cared for the palace have reported experiences that defy rational explanation. The palace's haunted reputation is woven into the fabric of its identity, a dark thread running through the tapestry of its celebrated history. Scholars debate whether the restless spirits that are said to roam the vast halls are remnants of the countless souls who once lived, loved, and suffered within these walls. Some speak of the echoes of lost monarchs, their voices carried on the wind like mournful songs. Others believe the supernatural presence is tied to the tragedies that unfolded within Versailles' opulent confines. Betrayals of trust, violent upheavals, and the relentless march of revolution that tore the monarchy apart. At the heart of these chilling legends lies a question that has intrigued generations. What is it about Versailles that sustains this eerie energy? How does a palace built to showcase the zenith of royal power become a vessel for sorrow and mystery? The answer may lie in the very nature of Versailles itself, a place where human grandeur collided with human frailty, where splendor masked desperation, and where the pursuit of immortality through legacy met the cruel hand of mortality. As the night deepens, the vast gardens seem to hold their breath, the intricate fountains whispering secrets their waters dare not reveal by day. The labyrinthine paths, once trodden by kings and courtiers, now seem to wind toward unseen destinations, places where the spectral and the real entwine. The very air within the palace carries a charge, as though the walls themselves remember every whispered conspiracy, every stolen glance, every tear shed in secrecy. Versailles is more than a building. It is a living chronicle of human ambition, desire, and downfall. Its grandeur is inseparable from the shadows it casts, a reminder that beneath the dazzling surface lies a profound and unsettling mystery. It is this duality that captures the imagination, where beauty and terror walk hand in hand, where the past is not gone but lingers, restless and unresolved. Tonight, as the palace sleeps under a canopy of stars, the question remains unanswered. What spirits haunt these halls, and why do they linger still? The grand Chateau de Versailles, with all its magnificence, stands as a silent sentinel to the dark mysteries that ripple beneath its golden surface, inviting those who dare to uncover the haunting tales whispered through its endless corridors. To understand the shadows that haunt Chateau de Versailles, one must journey back to its humble beginnings in the early 17th century. Long before the palace became a sprawling symbol of royal absolutism, Versailles was a modest hunting lodge commissioned by Louis XIII in 1623. Nestled amid dense forests and rolling fields, this lodge was a quiet retreat, a far cry from the labyrinthine grandeur it would later embody. The original structure was simple, built to accommodate the king's passion for hunting, a pastime that brought him solace away from the formalities and pressures of court life in Paris. Yet, it was Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, who transformed this unassuming lodge into a testament of power and extravagance unlike any other in Europe. Ascending to the throne as a child, Louis XIV harbored a vision of a monarchy so absolute and magnificent that it would eclipse any rival. Versailles was no longer just a royal residence. It became the very stage upon which the theater of his reign was performed. Over decades, the palace grew, sprawling outward in a grand display of architectural mastery and artistic innovation. Under Louis XIV's direction, Versailles expanded into a monumental symbol of absolute monarchy, where every hall, statue, and garden was meticulously designed to reflect the king's divine right to rule. Architects like Louis Lavaux, André Le Nôtre, and Charles Le Brun collaborated to create a masterpiece of Baroque opulence. Marble columns, gilded ceilings, and expansive fountains that danced in synchronized elegance. The gardens alone stretched for miles, shaped with mathematical precision to embody control over nature itself, mirroring the king's control over his kingdom. But beyond its architectural splendor, Versailles took on a deeper, more complex role. It was a physical embodiment of Louis XIV's desire to centralize power, drawing the nobility away from Paris and into his orbit. The palace became a gilded cage where courtiers vied for favor, their lives controlled by the king's rituals and whims. This intense concentration of ambition and intrigue set the stage for tensions that would, over time, imbue the palace with an almost palpable energy. The undercurrent of envy, fear, and desperation that accompanied such concentrated power. As the palace grew, so too did the stories of the unexplained. Rumors began to surface among the courtiers and palace staff. Whispers of spectral figures glimpsed in the corridors, of cold drafts that swept through rooms sealed tight against the wind, and of strange sounds echoing through the vast halls long after midnight. Some spoke of a mysterious presence that seemed to watch from the shadows, a phantom embodiment of the palace's heavy history. These tales, dismissed by some as superstition, took root in the collective memory of Versailles, layering the palace's grandeur with an eerie mystique. The Sun King himself was no stranger to the palace's enigmatic atmosphere. His relentless pursuit of perfection and control cast a long shadow, and some believed his spirit, or that of those crushed beneath his reign, lingered in the marble corridors. The very architecture seemed to breathe with the weight of power and the cost it demanded, an eternal reminder that behind the dazzling spectacle lay a darker truth. Versailles was not merely a home for royalty. It was a crucible in which the ambitions, fears, and secrets of an empire were forged. The palace's halls bore witness to whispered plots, secret alliances, and betrayals that shaped the course of French history. These layers of human drama, played out against a backdrop of opulence, infused the palace with a restless energy that some say never left. In its earliest days as the seat of royal power, Versailles was a place where every detail mattered. The king's daily routine was orchestrated like a grand performance, with courtiers assigned specific roles and places, each action reinforcing the hierarchy and the king's supremacy. This rigid order, combined with the palace's vast scale, created an environment where the boundaries between public spectacle and private turmoil blurred. Behind the gilded doors, rivalries festered, alliances shifted, and the fragile balance of power was maintained only through constant vigilance. The transformation of Versailles under Louis XIV was not merely architectural, it was deeply symbolic. The palace's design conveyed messages of dominance and divine rule to all who entered. The Hall of Mirrors, with its endless reflections and brilliant light, became a metaphor for the king's omnipresence and the dazzling power he wielded. Every statue and fountain was imbued with allegorical meaning, reinforcing the myth of the Sun King's invincibility. Yet, beneath this dazzling exterior, the palace also held the seeds of its own haunting. The concentration of power and wealth bred resentment and despair, emotions that, some believe, left their mark on the palace itself. The stories of ghostly apparitions and inexplicable phenomena that began during this period suggest that Versailles was more than a stage for royal grandeur. It was a vessel for the human cost of such ambition. The palace's sprawling gardens, designed by André Le Nôtre, were themselves a testament to control and order. Every tree, hedge, and pathway was placed with exacting precision, symbolizing the king's mastery over nature in his realm. But these perfect lines and symmetrical designs also created a sense of confinement, a labyrinth where courtiers could become lost, both literally and metaphorically. The gardens, beautiful and serene by day, took on an otherworldly quality as dusk fell, their shadows deepening and twisting into shapes that sparked the imagination. As Versailles grew from a simple hunting lodge into the heart of French monarchy, it became clear that the palace was not just a home, but a living entity, shaped by the ambitions and fears of those who dwelled within. The grandeur of its halls and the precision of its gardens masked a restless spirit, a palace alive with history and haunted by the echoes of lives lived in pursuit of power and glory. This beginning, rooted in transformation and ambition, set the stage for the palace's complex and mysterious legacy. The very stones of Versailles carry the imprint of centuries of human drama, a mixture of splendor and shadow that would come to define its enduring allure. As the palace expanded under Louis XIV's watchful eye, so too did the tales of the unseen, whispers of ghosts and secrets that would haunt Versailles long after the last candle was extinguished. The golden age of Versailles under Louis XIV's reign eventually gave way to a darker chapter, one marked by the reign of Louis XVI and his ill-fated queen, Marie Antoinette. The palace, still shimmering with Baroque splendor, became a stage upon which the final acts of the French monarchy's grand drama would unfold, a drama steeped in extravagance, secrecy, and mounting tension that foreshadowed the inevitable collapse of an era. By the late 18th century, Versailles was no longer just a symbol of absolute power. It had become a gilded cage for the royal family and the nobility who surrounded them. The court's daily life was a complex dance of etiquette and intrigue, where appearances masked simmering discontent. Louis XVI, a monarch more inclined to kindness than to command, struggled to assert control over a kingdom roiling with economic strain and social unrest. Beside him, Marie Antoinette, with her youthful beauty and lavish tastes, became both a figure of fascination and scorn. The queen's reputation was a lightning rod for public resentment. Her lavish spending and rumored indiscretions fueled whispers that spread beyond the palace walls, feeding a growing narrative of royal excess, disconnected from the suffering of the common people. Within the palace, however, Marie Antoinette sought refuge in private chambers and secret gardens, attempting to carve out moments of normalcy amid the relentless pressures of court life. Yet even these sanctuaries were not immune to the palace's eerie atmosphere. Stories of ghostly sightings and unexplained sounds began to cluster around the queen's quarters. Versailles, once a beacon of hope and power, had become a place where personal tragedy and political crisis intertwined. The palace's opulent halls bore silent witness to secret meetings and whispered conspiracies as factions formed in the shadows, each maneuvering for survival in an unstable court. The tension was palpable. A thin veneer of civility stretched tight over growing divisions and despair. Amid this charged atmosphere, accounts of spectral phenomena began to gain traction. Courtiers and servants alike reported glimpses of ghostly figures roaming the corridors, some believed to be the restless spirits of those who had suffered or died within the palace. Among these apparitions, the figure of Marie Antoinette herself became a recurring presence in the palace's haunted lore. Some claimed to see her silhouette drifting through the Hall of Mirrors or hear the soft echo of her footsteps near the queen's chambers. as if her spirit remained tethered to the place where her life and reign unraveled. These ghostly tales were more than mere superstition. They reflected the deep emotional and historical scars etched into Versailles. The palace was a repository for the hopes and heartbreaks of its inhabitants, its walls absorbing the pain and betrayal that would culminate in revolution. The haunting presence felt by many can be seen as a spectral manifestation of the palace's turbulent past, a reminder that the grandeur of Versailles was inseparable from the human cost it demanded. The growing unrest outside of Versailles reached a fever pitch as the French Revolution loomed. The palace that had once been the center of power was increasingly isolated, its gilded gates shutting out a world on the brink of upheaval. Within its walls, the royal family grappled with the crushing weight of their impending downfall, their lives shrinking under the oppressive scrutiny of history and motion. Marie Antoinette, in particular, found herself trapped in a tragic narrative that extended beyond her personal failings. Her image was weaponized by revolutionaries and caricatured in pamphlets and broadsheets, painting her as a symbol of aristocratic decay. Yet, behind this public persona, she remained a figure of complexity, mother, queen, and prisoner of circumstance. The palace's whispered hauntings of her spirit suggest a lingering presence that transcends history, a spectral echo of innocence lost, and a dynasty's demise. The very spaces within Versailles where political decisions and private moments collided became charged with emotional resonance. The Hall of Mirrors, once a dazzling symbol of royal power, now bore the weight of impending doom. It was here that the Treaty of Versailles would later be signed, but in this era, it was the backdrop for the fragile last days of monarchy. Some visitors have since reported a palpable chill in the hall, a sensation that the ghosts of history still linger amid the glittering reflections. Even the gardens, designed to embody control and perfection, seem to take on a somber tone. The secret groves and hidden pathways that once offered solace to the queen and her companions transformed into places where shadows lengthened and the air grew heavy with unspoken fears. Here, too, stories of apparitions and unexplained phenomena persisted, intertwining the natural beauty of Versailles with its spectral legacy. This period in Versailles' history highlights the palace's dual identity as both a magnificent royal residence and a site of profound human tragedy. The echoes of laughter and music that once filled its halls now mingle with the whispers of loss and desperation. The palace's haunted reputation, rooted in these turbulent years, serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of power and the enduring imprint of history's darkest moments. As the court's glittering facade began to crumble, so too did the illusion of invincibility that Versailles projected. The palace's transformation from a place of celebration to a stage for downfall was marked not only by political upheaval, but by a growing sense of the supernatural, a haunting that mirrored the unraveling of the world it once ruled. This intertwining of historical drama and spectral presence continues to captivate those who walk its halls, offering a glimpse into a past where the lines between reality and legend blur in the shadows of Versailles. The year 1789 shattered the gilded world of Versailles, plunging the palace from its lofty heights into chaos and despair. The French Revolution, fueled by the fury of a starving populace and the cries for justice, descended upon the royal residence with a violent force that would forever alter its destiny. The grand halls that once echoed with the footsteps of kings and courtiers became the scenes of upheaval, abandonment, and profound tragedy. The storming of Versailles was more than a political act. It was a symbolic rupture, a forceful rejection of centuries of royal excess and privilege. Crowds surged through the palace gates, their anger palpable as they confronted the monarchy's opulence with the harsh realities of poverty and inequality. The walls that had once sheltered the powerful now bore witness to their vulnerability. The royal family, caught in the swift currents of revolution, was forced to flee, their departure marking the end of Versailles as the center of political life in France. In the wake of the monarchy's flight, the palace fell into neglect. The once immaculate rooms grew cold and empty, their grandeur fading under layers of dust and decay. Without the constant presence of royalty and court life, Versailles became a hollow shell, a monument to a vanished world. Yet even in abandonment, the palace retained an eerie vitality, a lingering presence born of the trauma and betrayal that had unfolded within its walls. Stories began to circulate of restless spirits trapped by the violent upheaval, souls unable or unwilling to leave the place that had defined their existence. The haunted reputation of Versailles deepened as eyewitnesses reported apparitions wandering the deserted corridors. Ghostly figures clad in the finery of a bygone era, their faces etched with sorrow and rage. Among these spectral figures, the legend of the White Lady took hold, a mysterious apparition believed to be the spirit of a noblewoman who had perished amidst the revolution's turmoil. The White Lady became a symbol of the palace's haunted legacy, her presence a chilling reminder of the human cost behind the fall of the monarchy. Sightings of her ghostly form, gliding silently through the shadowed galleries, appearing unexpectedly in the dim light, were recounted by guards, servants, and visitors alike. Her story, like many at Versailles, blurred the lines between history and myth, intertwining the palace's physical decay with the spectral echoes of its tragic past. The revolution's impact on Versailles extended beyond the supernatural. The palace's treasures were looted or damaged, artworks defaced, and furnishings stripped away. The grand gardens, once meticulously tended to reflect royal power and order, fell into neglect. The intricate patterns, overrun by wild growth. The palace, a masterpiece of human artistry, seemed to succumb to the very chaos it had once symbolized controlling. Yet, even amidst this decline, the spirit of Versailles endured. The haunting tales became part of the palace's identity, a layer of mystery that attracted the curious and the brave. Visitors spoke of unexplained noises, the creaking of floorboards in empty rooms, distant whispers that seemed to float through the air, and cold spots that chilled the bones. These phenomena were often dismissed by skeptics but persisted in the collective consciousness, reinforcing the idea that Versailles was more than a relic. It was a living testament to history's darkest chapters. The palace's fall from grace was mirrored in the fate of those who had called it home. The royal family's tragic end, imprisonment, exile, and execution, weighed heavily on the atmosphere of Versailles, as if their spirits remained bound to the place of their downfall. The echoes of their suffering seemed to seep from the walls, a haunting melody of loss and betrayal that refused to fade. Among the many ghost stories linked to this era, the tale of Marie Antoinette's apparition remains among the most persistent. Witnesses have reported glimpses of a figure resembling the Queen, her silhouette framed by the flickering candlelight in the Queen's chambers, her presence a sorrowful reminder of the revolution's cruelty. Some say she appears to wander the gardens at night, her footsteps silent on the dew-covered paths, forever searching for a freedom denied in life. Versailles' haunted reputation during and after the revolution serves as a powerful symbol of the monarchy's tragic downfall. The spirits said to linger within its walls embody the collective memory of a nation torn apart, ghosts of privilege, despair, and shattered dreams. The palace's decay and the spectral legends entwine, creating a narrative that is as much about memory and loss as about history and politics. As the 19th century dawned, the image of Versailles as a haunted ruin took root, captivating the imagination of artists, writers, and historians. The palace became a site where the past was not only preserved but felt, where the weight of history could be sensed in every shadow and every creaking floorboard. The haunting stories, whether believed or doubted, ensured that Versailles remained alive in the cultural psyche, a place where the echoes of revolution and royal tragedy whispered endlessly through the empty halls. The story of Versailles' fall is not merely one of political upheaval, but of a palace transformed by the ghosts of its own history. The revolution's storm left scars both visible and invisible, turning a symbol of absolute power into a monument of loss and spectral memory. Within the ruins and the lingering spirits lies a profound reminder. The grandeur of Versailles was inseparable from the shadows it cast, and its haunting legacy continues to resonate through time. The shattered silence that settled over Versailles following the Revolution was not destined to be permanent. By the 19th century, efforts to restore the palace began, led first by Napoleon Bonaparte and later by monarchs seeking to reclaim a sense of national pride. Versailles, once abandoned and crumbling, was reborn, not merely as a royal residence, but as a museum dedicated to the sweeping tapestry of French history. This transformation marked a new chapter in the palace's life, one that sought to reconcile its grand past with the scars of political upheaval. Napoleon, recognizing the symbolic power of Versailles, initiated restorations that aimed to revive the palace's glory. Though he never made it his primary residence, his interest in Versailles was part of a broader strategy to link his regime to the legacy of France's monarchs. Subsequent rulers, including Louis-Philippe, embraced the idea of converting Versailles into a public museum, opening its doors to visitors eager to witness the grandeur of a bygone era. This shift from private palace to public monument signaled a changing attitude toward history and heritage. Despite the extensive restorations, Versailles never fully shed the echoes of its turbulent past. The palace's vast halls and ornate chambers, while meticulously refurbished, retained a mysterious aura that intrigued both staff and guests. Reports of unexplained phenomena continued to surface, phantom footsteps echoing down empty corridors, flickering lights that defied explanation, and sudden chills that swept through rooms sealed against drafts. These incidents were recorded by dedicated caretakers who, despite their practical duties, could not ignore the palace's lingering spectral presence. The museum staff, often working late into the night, recounted tales of eerie encounters, doors creaking open of their own accord, shadowy figures glimpsed at the edge of vision, and the faint, distant sound of music or whispered voices when no others were near. Some believe these experiences were the restless spirits of Versailles' former inhabitants, royalty, servants, and courtiers alike, whose lives had been intertwined with the palace's history and who remained tethered to its walls. One of the most frequented sites of these paranormal reports was the Hall of Mirrors, a room steeped in both historical significance and supernatural lore. Visitors and historians marveled at its dazzling chandeliers and countless reflective surfaces. Yet many also spoke of strange reflections that did not correspond to any living person, and cold spots that unsettled even the most skeptical. The hall's dual nature, as a monument to royal splendor and a hotspot for ghostly activity, captured the imagination of all who entered. The persistence of these unexplained occurrences fueled a fascination that extended beyond mere curiosity. Paranormal investigators and historians alike were drawn to Versailles, seeking to document and understand the palace's spectral legacy through emerging technologies and scientific methods. Early attempts to capture ghostly images or sounds often yielded ambiguous results, but the very act of investigation reinforced the idea that Versailles was a place where the veil between past and present was thin. The palace's haunting reputation also influenced artistic and literary circles. Writers and painters found inspiration in the mysterious atmosphere that enveloped Versailles, weaving tales of ghosts and lost loves that further embedded the palace in a popular culture. These creative works contributed to the public's perception of Versailles as a living ghost story, a place where history and the supernatural coexisted in an uneasy harmony. Despite the palace's transformation into a museum, the challenge of preserving Versailles' immense and delicate structure remained daunting. Conservators worked tirelessly to maintain the ornate decorations, frescoes, and furnishings, all while navigating the practical difficulties posed by the building's age and size. The supernatural lore added an unusual dimension to their task. Staff often spoke of respecting not only the physical history, but also the intangible presence that seemed to inhabit the space. Versailles' status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site underscored the importance of balancing preservation with public access. Millions of visitors flocked to the palace each year, eager to experience its history firsthand. Yet, the influx of tourists posed risks to the fragile interiors, prompting careful management to protect both the palace's material heritage and its enigmatic atmosphere. The haunting tales, while a draw for some, also raised questions about how to present the palace's complex identity without overshadowing its historical significance. This interplay between tangible history and ghostly legend positioned Versailles at a unique crossroads. It was neither merely a museum nor solely a haunted relic. It was a living testament to France's layered past, where the grandeur of monarchy and the shadows of revolution coexisted. The palace became a space where visitors could confront the contradictions of history, the beauty and brutality, the power and vulnerability that defined Versailles. Staff who dedicated their lives to caring for Versailles often spoke of a profound connection to the palace's history and its mysteries. Their experiences illuminated the idea that Versailles was more than stone and paint. It was a vessel for human stories, emotions, and memories that transcended time. The supernatural elements, whether real or imagined, became part of this narrative, enriching the palace's identity and deepening its allure. As restoration and preservation efforts continued into the modern era, Versailles maintained its dual identity. It stood as a beacon of cultural heritage and an enigmatic site where the past's echoes could be felt as vividly as the present's footsteps. The palace's haunted halls and shimmering mirrors invited reflection, not only on the history they bore witness to, but also on the mysteries that lingered in the spaces between. In this ongoing dialogue between history and haunting, Versailles emerged not only as a restored monument, but as a living symbol of memory itself. The palace's evolution from royal residence to museum intertwined with its spectral tales, creating a tapestry of experience that captivated all who ventured through its doors. Here, the grandeur of human achievement met the haunting presence of history's unresolved shadows, forever entwined with thought within the walls of Château de Versailles. In the heart of Château de Versailles lies the Hall of Mirrors, a room that epitomizes the palace's grandeur and the complex interplay between history and haunting. Stretching nearly 75 meters in length, this iconic gallery dazzles with 17 arched mirrors opposite equally tall windows, reflecting the sunlight that floods the space during the day and the flickering candlelight by night. It is here, amid the shimmering reflections and gilded ornamentation, that Versailles' most iconic events unfolded, and where the whispers of the past seem to resonate most profoundly. The Hall of Mirrors was conceived as a breathtaking spectacle, designed by architect Jules Hardouin Mansart, to embody the glory of Louis XIV's reign. It was a place where the king's power was both displayed and magnified, a corridor of light and opulence that dazzled courtiers and foreign dignitaries alike. The ceiling, painted by Charles Lebrun, depicts scenes of the Sun King's achievements, reinforcing his divine right and unassailable authority. Every detail was meticulously crafted to awe and inspire, making the hall a symbol of royal absolutism and artistic excellence. Yet, beneath its glittering surface, the Hall of Mirrors holds a deeper, more enigmatic presence. It is a space where history's weight is palpable, a crossroads of triumph and tragedy, where the grandeur of monarchy meets the shadows of its decline. The hall witnessed pivotal moments, from the proclamation of the German Empire in 1871 to the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. These events, etched into the room's very fabric, contribute to a charged atmosphere that some say transcends the physical realm. Visitors and staff have long reported peculiar experiences within the hall, fueling its reputation as one of Versailles' most haunted locations. Accounts of ghostly reflections appearing in the mirrors, shapes flickering just beyond the edge of vision, and inexplicable cold spots abound. Some have described feeling watched, a sensation intensified by the hall's endless surfaces that multiply and distort reality. These phenomena defy easy explanation, blurring the lines between the tangible and the spectral. The mirrors themselves seem to hold a mysterious power. Their countless reflections create an illusion of infinite space, a labyrinth of light and shadow that can disorient even the most grounded observer. It is said that on certain nights, the reflections reveal more than just the physical world. Ghostly figures, long gone from the realm of the living, can be glimpsed moving silently through the gallery. Whether these are remnants of past occupants or manifestations of the palace's emotional residue remains a matter of speculation, but the stories persist with haunting consistency. The cold spots reported by visitors and staff add another layer to the hall's eerie ambiance. Sudden drops in temperature, sometimes localized to specific corners or stretches along the marble floors, evoke a chilling presence. These unexplained sensations often coincide with moments of silence or stillness, as if the hall itself is holding its breath. For those sensitive to such energies, the Hall of Mirrors is a place where the veil between past and present thins, inviting encounters with the unseen. Historians and paranormal experts have long debated the origins of these haunting phenomena. Some suggest that the hall's history, marked by political intrigue, personal betrayals, and historic upheavals, has left an indelible imprint on the space. The intense emotions experienced by those who walked its length, the hopes, fears, and sorrows may have seeped into the very materials, creating an environment ripe for spectral echoes. Others argue that the hall's unique architecture and reflective surfaces could amplify natural sensory anomalies, generating illusions that the mind interprets as ghostly. Despite these differing viewpoints, the Hall of Mirrors continues to captivate imaginations, embodying the intersection of Versailles' opulence and mystery. It stands as a testament not only to human artistry, but also to the palace's complex legacy, a place where history and haunting entwine. The hall's grandeur cannot be separated from its spectral tales. Together, they form a narrative that is both beautiful and unsettling. For those who walk through the Hall of Mirrors today, the experience is often one of awe tempered with a subtle unease. The room's shimmering surfaces dazzle the eye, but the stories whispered in the shadows linger. Visitors report a strange sense of presence, a feeling that the hall remembers every footstep, every whispered conversation, every secret exchanged in its reflective embrace. It is a place where time folds upon itself, and the past is never far from the present. The hall's role as a site of historic proclamation and diplomatic ceremony adds to its enigmatic character. The very walls have borne witness to the shifting tides of power, from the height of royal absolutism to the fragile peace after world conflict. Each event has layered new meanings onto the space, enriching its atmosphere with echoes of triumph and loss. These historical strata, combined with the hall's architectural brilliance, create a setting uniquely suited to inspire both reverence and chill. In recent years, the Hall of Mirrors has attracted numerous paranormal investigations, employing modern technology to capture evidence of its spectral inhabitants. Audio recordings have picked up unexplained sounds, soft footsteps, faint voices, and distant music that seem to emanate from the hall's vast emptiness. Infrared cameras and motion detectors have sometimes recorded anomalies that defy conventional explanation. While skeptics question the validity of such findings, the investigations serve to deepen the hall's mystique and public fascination. The interplay of light and shadow, reflection and reality, makes the Hall of Mirrors a living metaphor for Versailles itself, a place where brilliance and darkness coexist. It is a space that invites contemplation of the palace's dual nature, the dazzling ambitions of kings and the lingering spirits of those caught in history's tides. The mirrors reflect more than just images. They reflect the layers of memory and mystery embedded in the palace's soul. As night descends and the crowds disperse, the Hall of Mirrors takes on a different character. The flicker of candlelight, or the soft glow of lanterns, brings the room alive in a way that daylight cannot. It is then that the spectral tales feel most immediate, as if the past has returned to mingle with the present. The hall's long history, rich with drama and spectacle, continues to unfold in the interplay of light, glass, and shadow. In this iconic gallery, the grandeur of Versailles meets its haunting legacy head-on. The Hall of Mirrors stands as a luminous stage where history's brightest moments and its darkest mysteries are forever entwined, inviting all who enter to peer beyond the surface and glimpse the ghosts that dance within the reflections. In recent decades, the allure of Chateau de Versailles has extended beyond its architectural grandeur and historical significance into the realm of the paranormal, drawing the attention of experts determined to unravel the mysteries whispered through its ancient halls. Modern-day encounters and carefully orchestrated investigations have brought fresh eyes and scientific rigor to the palace's long-standing reputation as a haunted landmark, transforming Versailles into a focal point for those intrigued by the intersection of history and the supernatural. Equipped with the latest technology, teams of paranormal investigators have ventured into Versailles' most storied rooms and shadowed corridors, seeking tangible evidence of the unexplained phenomena that staff and visitors have reported for centuries. Infrared cameras, electromagnetic field detectors, and sensitive audio recording devices have been strategically placed to capture any anomalies that might escape the naked eye or ear. These investigations often take place during the quiet hours of the night, when the palace is stripped of its daytime bustle and the atmosphere seems to thicken with an intangible presence. Staff members, who have long been the silent witnesses to Versailles' mysteries, often share personal stories that lend credence to the palace's haunted reputation. Night guards describe the unsettling sensation of being watched in empty galleries, footsteps echoing along corridors where no one else is present, and sudden drops in temperature that defy explanation. Housekeepers recount hearing soft whispers or feeling unexplained touches while tending to the grand rooms after hours. These first-hand accounts, collected over years, form a tapestry of experiences that blur the line between folklore and reality. One of the most compelling aspects of these investigations is the capture of unexplained sounds and images. Recordings have occasionally revealed faint voices, murmurs, or soft music that cannot be attributed to any known source. In some instances, investigators have detected sudden spikes in electromagnetic fields, a phenomenon often associated with paranormal activity. Visual evidence, while more elusive, includes fleeting shadows or orbs of light that appear in photographs and video footage taken within the palace's confines. Though skeptics caution against overinterpretation, these findings continue to fuel the fascination with Versailles as a site where the past lingers palpably. The presence of these phenomena is often linked to specific locations within the palace, areas steeped in intense historical significance or emotional weight. The Queen's chambers, the Hall of Mirrors, and the labyrinthine servant quarters are among the hotspots where activity is most frequently reported. These spaces, charged by centuries of human experience, joy, ambition, suffering, and betrayal, are believed to serve as focal points for residual energies. Some researchers propose that traumatic events such as the fall of the monarchy or personal tragedies have imprinted themselves on the environment, creating echoes that persist through time. Beyond the technical side of investigations, the personal experiences of those who spend extended periods in Versailles reveal a profound connection to its spectral dimension. Guides and curators have spoken of moments when the palace's energy shifts, a subtle but unmistakable presence making itself known during quiet moments. These experiences often inspire a deep respect for the palace's history and its unseen inhabitants, prompting caretakers to approach their work with a blend of professionalism and reverence for the mysteries they encounter. The ongoing fascination with Versailles' paranormal side has also given rise to public interest tours and events focused on the supernatural. Nighttime ghost tours, special exhibitions, and multimedia presentations invite visitors to explore the palace's darker history and the stories of its alleged hauntings. These programs blend historical fact with legend, creating immersive experiences that captivate audiences and keep the palace's haunting legacy alive in contemporary culture. Such engagements underscore the enduring power of Versailles as not just a monument to royal magnificence, but as a living narrative where history and mystery intertwine. The palace's spectral tales have become part of its identity, enriching the visitor experience and prompting reflection on the human stories behind its grandeur. This blend of education and enchantment ensures that Versailles continues to inspire awe, not only for its physical beauty but for the enigmatic presence that seems to inhabit its walls. Researchers and enthusiasts alike recognize that the palace's paranormal phenomena, whether ultimately explained or not, serve as a bridge connecting the present to a complex and often turbulent past. They invite us to consider the ways in which spaces carry memory and emotion, how the echoes of history can manifest in subtle and unexpected ways. In this sense, Versailles becomes more than a museum or architectural marvel. It becomes a place where time folds upon itself, and the boundaries between the living and the departed grow porous. The modern investigations at Versailles reflect a broader cultural fascination with the supernatural, yet they also highlight the unique position of the palace as a repository of collective memory. Unlike many haunted sites, Versailles' ghosts are tied to well-documented historical events and figures, grounding the paranormal in a rich context that enhances both the mystery and the meaning of these encounters. This blend of history and haunting challenges visitors and researchers to navigate the space between skepticism and belief, fact and folklore. As technology advances and investigative methods evolve, the quest to understand Versailles' spectral phenomena continues. Each new discovery, whether an unexplainable sound or a captured shadow, adds to the palace's layered narrative, deepening its mystique. The palace's caretakers and investigators remain vigilant, attuned to the subtle signs that hint at a presence beyond the tangible, a presence that keeps the story of Versailles alive in ways that transcend stone and paint. In this ongoing journey, Château de Versailles stands not just as a relic of royal ambition, but as a living enigma, where the echoes of the past resonate through the corridors, and where the supernatural invites us to look beyond the surface. It is a place where history breathes, spirits linger, and the boundary between the known and the unknown is forever blurred, drawing all who enter into its timeless, haunting embrace. The allure of Château de Versailles extends far beyond its marble columns and gilded ceilings. It permeates popular culture and tourism, fueled in no small part by the palace's haunting reputation. This spectral mystique has become a vital element in shaping public fascination, drawing millions each year eager not only to witness the grandeur of French history, but to sense the ghostly echoes that linger within its walls. Books and films have long capitalized on Versailles' dual identity as both a symbol of royal opulence and a hotspot for supernatural intrigue. From historical novels that weave tales of palace intrigue and spectral visitations to documentaries exploring unexplained phenomena, the narrative of Versailles as a haunted landmark captivates audiences worldwide. These stories tap into a collective imagination eager to reconcile the palace's dazzling beauty with the shadows cast by its tumultuous past. Tour operators have embraced this fascination, crafting specialized tours that blend the palace's rich history with its eerie legends. Nighttime ghost tours lead visitors through dimly lit corridors and secret chambers, inviting them to experience Versailles in a way that transcends the typical daytime visit. Guides recount tales of apparitions, inexplicable sounds, and cold spots, weaving history and legend into an immersive experience that thrills and chills in equal measure. These tours often sell out quickly, testament to the enduring appeal of the supernatural woven into Versailles' fabric. The palace's haunted reputation has also sparked lively debate among historians, cultural commentators, and tourism officials. Some caution against sensationalizing the ghost stories, emphasizing the importance of preserving Versailles' historical integrity and respect for the real lives behind the legends. Others argue that the supernatural narratives enrich the visitor experience, offering a unique lens through which to engage with the palace's complex past. This tension reflects broader questions about how history is presented and consumed in the modern era. The dual identity of Versailles, as both a meticulously preserved historical monument and a site of ghostly lore, creates a dynamic cultural phenomenon. Visitors enter the palace expecting to be dazzled by its art and architecture, yet many leave with stories of inexplicable sensations and encounters that linger in memory. This blend of the tangible and the intangible adds depth to the palace's appeal, making it a place where history and mystery coexist in a delicate balance. The cultural impact of Versailles' haunting tales extends into artistic expression as well. Writers, filmmakers, and artists draw inspiration from the palace's spectral stories, creating works that explore themes of memory, loss, and the passage of time. These creations often highlight the contrast between Versailles' outward magnificence and the hidden sorrows embedded in its history. Through these artistic interpretations, the palace's haunted legacy continues to evolve, reaching new audiences and inspiring fresh reflections. Public fascination with Versailles' supernatural side also shapes how history is understood and remembered. The ghost stories serve as metaphors for the palace's turbulent past, its revolutions, betrayals, and tragedies, offering a narrative that humanizes events often viewed through the lens of political and social analysis. In this way, the haunting tales make history accessible and emotionally resonant, connecting visitors to the lived experiences behind the grandeur. Moreover, the palace's haunted reputation influences how the French monarchy itself is perceived. The spectral narratives underscore the fragility of power and the impermanence of even the grandest human achievements. They remind us that behind the glittering facade were real people, caught in the sweep of history's forces whose joys and sorrows continue to echo through time. This perspective invites a more nuanced understanding of monarchy, one that acknowledges both its majesty and its human cost. Versailles' enduring popularity as a tourist destination owes much to this intricate interplay of history and haunting. The palace's ability to captivate diverse audiences, scholars, thrill-seekers, art lovers, and ghost hunters alike, speaks to the universal appeal of stories that blend fact and folklore. It is a place where visitors can marvel at artistic genius while pondering the mysteries that refuse to be fully explained. The commercial success of Versailles' haunted tours and related cultural products also reflects a broader trend in heritage tourism, where sites leverage their intangible cultural assets to enhance visitor engagement. In this competitive landscape, the palace's ghostly reputation offers a distinctive edge, setting it apart from other historic landmarks. This has led to innovative programming that balances education with entertainment, ensuring that the palace remains relevant and compelling in the 21st century. Yet, this popularity also brings challenges. Managing the expectations of visitors drawn by the promise of supernatural encounters requires careful interpretation and responsible storytelling. Preservation efforts must navigate the fine line between promoting the palace's haunted charm and safeguarding its physical and historical integrity. Staff and curators work diligently to maintain this balance, recognizing that the palace's mystique is inseparable from the respect owed to its heritage. In the end, Versailles stands as a multifaceted symbol of royal grandeur, historical upheaval, and spectral mystery. Its haunted reputation enriches the cultural tapestry of the palace, adding layers of meaning that invite exploration and reflection. Through books, films, tours, and art, the stories of Versailles' ghosts continue to captivate imaginations, ensuring that the palace remains not only a monument to the past, but a living legend that speaks to the enduring human fascination with the unknown. As visitors pass through its gilded halls and shadowed corridors, they carry with them more than memories of beauty and history. They carry the whispered tales of those who came before, the echoes of lives intertwined with the palace's fate. In this way, Versailles transcends its physical form, becoming a timeless mansion where the grandeur of history and the mysteries of the supernatural entwine, inviting all who enter to explore the depths beyond the golden facade. Preserving a monument as vast and ancient as Château de Versailles is a monumental task, one that intertwines the complexities of maintaining physical grandeur with the intangible weight of its haunting legacy. The palace's sprawling estate, with its delicate frescoes, gilded moldings, and manicured gardens, demands constant care and vigilance. Yet, woven into this preservation effort is a unique challenge, respecting the spectral lore that has become inseparable from Versailles' identity. The sheer scale of Versailles presents logistical hurdles. Hundreds of rooms, corridors stretching for miles, and vast gardens require specialized knowledge and meticulous attention. Conservationists must balance the use of modern techniques with traditional craftsmanship to maintain authenticity. Each restoration project unfolds as a dialogue between past and present, striving to honor the original artistry while adapting to the demands of contemporary preservation standards. Amid these practical concerns lies the subtle influence of the palace's supernatural reputation. Staff members and conservators often speak of an unspoken respect for the invisible presence believed to inhabit the estate. Tales of unexplained phenomena, flickering lights during delicate restoration work, sudden cold drafts in sealed rooms, and the feeling of unseen eyes watching have prompted some to approach their tasks with a reverence that transcends the physical. This intangible dimension adds a layer of complexity to conservation efforts, reminding caretakers that Versailles is as much a vessel of memory and mystery as it is of physical structure. Public access further complicates preservation. Millions of visitors flood the palace annually, eager to experience its history and haunted allure firsthand. Managing this influx requires careful planning to protect delicate interiors from wear and tear, while providing an immersive experience. High foot traffic, environmental factors like humidity and light exposure, and the need for safety measures all influence conservation strategies. Balancing preservation with accessibility is a tightrope walk, made more intricate by the palace's dual role as a cultural treasure and a living legend. The haunting tales themselves sometimes pose challenges to conservation messaging. While these stories attract visitors and enrich the palace's narrative, they risk overshadowing the historical significance if sensationalized. Staff and historians grapple with presenting the supernatural elements in a way that complements rather than detracts from the educational mission. This requires nuanced interpretation, blending folklore with documented history to offer a comprehensive understanding of Versailles' layered identity. Versailles' designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site underscores the global importance of preserving both its tangible and intangible heritage. The palace embodies centuries of artistic, political, and social history, and its haunting reputation forms part of its cultural fabric. International guidelines emphasize safeguarding not only the physical site, but also the stories and traditions that give it meaning. This holistic approach challenges conservators to consider the palace's metaphysical essence alongside its architectural integrity. The staff's approach to conservation often reflects a deep awareness of Versailles as a living narrative. Restoration is not merely about repairing walls or polishing gold leaf. It is an act of stewardship over a repository of human experience. The presence of haunting lore encourages a sensitivity to the palace's emotional resonance, fostering an environment where preservation is intertwined with respect for memory and mystery. Technological advances have aided these efforts, allowing for non-invasive methods that minimize disruption to fragile features. Laser scanning, digital modeling, and climate control systems enable precise monitoring and maintenance without compromising the palace's historical fabric. These tools help conservators anticipate deterioration and implement strategies that align with both physical preservation and the palace's enigmatic atmosphere. Yet, even with technology, the palace's supernatural aura remains a palpable force. Some conservators report moments when the environment shifts unexpectedly. A sudden hush, unexplained sensations, or inexplicable movements of objects, reminders that Versailles defies complete mastery. These experiences, while anecdotal, contribute to a collective sense among staff that the palace is a living entity demanding humility and respect. This intertwining of preservation and paranormal lore reflects broader tensions in heritage management. How to honor the past's complexity without reducing it to mere spectacle. Versailles exemplifies the challenge of stewarding a site where history and haunting coexist, requiring a balance between scientific rigor and openness to the intangible. The palace's caretakers navigate these waters daily, ensuring that its legacy endures in both form and spirit. The gardens surrounding Versailles add another dimension to conservation challenges. Designed with geometric precision and symbolic intent, the landscapes require constant tending to maintain their intended visual harmony. Seasonal changes, weather impacts, and visitor interaction all affect the delicate balance of flora and water features. The gardens, too, carry their share of ghostly tales, phantoms glimpsed among the hedges, or the sudden hush that falls over a secluded grove, reminding caretakers that the estate's haunting extends beyond the palace walls. The tension between preservation and public engagement is ongoing. Efforts to educate visitors about the palace's history and supernatural stories must respect the site's fragility. Interactive exhibits, multimedia presentations, and guided tours strive to convey the richness of Versailles' narrative without compromising its physical or cultural integrity. This evolving approach reflects an understanding that heritage is not static but a dynamic conversation between past and present. Ultimately, Versailles stands at a crossroads where architecture, history, and mystery converge. Its preservation is a testament to human dedication and ingenuity, but also to a recognition that some aspects of the palace resist full control. The haunting lore challenges caretakers to embrace uncertainty and to honor the palace not just as a monument, but as a vessel of memory and enigma. In this delicate balance, Château de Versailles continues to captivate and inspire. The ongoing stewardship of its physical and spectral heritage ensures that the palace remains a vivid symbol of France's cultural legacy, a place where the grandeur of human achievement and the mysteries of the unknown meet beneath gilded ceilings and among shadowed corridors. Here, preservation transcends bricks and mortar, embracing the full spectrum of history's presence, seen and unseen. Château de Versailles stands today as more than a symbol of royal extravagance or a monument to architectural brilliance. It is a living repository of France's turbulent past and the restless spirits that linger within its walls. The palace transcends its role as a mere residence or museum, embodying a complex legacy where history and mystery entwine, and where the echoes of time reverberate through gilded halls and shadowed corridors alike. Versailles is a place where the past refuses to remain silent. The tales of hauntings and spectral sightings are not mere curiosities, but metaphors for the palace's layered memory. A memory marked by grandeur and tragedy, power and downfall. Each ghost story, each unexplained chill or flicker of light, serves as a reminder that history is not only recorded in books or etched in stone, but also felt in the spaces where human lives unfolded with all their hopes, fears, and sorrows. The palace's haunting legacy invites reflection on the nature of memory itself, how it preserves and distorts, how it comforts and unsettles. Versailles embodies the paradox of memory as both a beacon and a burden, illuminating the achievements of a bygone era while casting long shadows shaped by loss and betrayal. The spirits said to inhabit the palace are echoes of this paradox, embodying the unresolved tensions that continue to shape how we understand the past. Visitors to Versailles often find themselves captivated not only by the palace's visual splendor, but by the intangible atmosphere that permeates its rooms. The sense of presence, the whispers of history carried on the air, draw people into a dialogue with the past that is as emotional as it is intellectual. Versailles becomes a space for contemplation, where the boundaries between the living and the departed blur, and where the stories of kings and queens, courtiers and servants resonate beyond their time. This enduring fascination speaks to a universal human impulse, the desire to connect with history, not just as distant events, but as living experience. Versailles, with its haunted halls and shimmering mirrors, offers a unique portal into that experience, inviting us to engage with the complexities of power, identity, and mortality. It challenges us to recognize that history is not a fixed narrative, but a living conversation shaped by memory and imagination. The palace's spectral tales also serve as a cautionary reflection on the fragility of status and the impermanence of worldly achievements. The ghosts of Versailles remind us that beneath the glittering surface of power lie vulnerabilities and human frailties that transcend time. They compel us to consider the costs of ambition and the toll of history's upheavals, urging a deeper empathy for those caught in the tides of fortune and fate. Versailles' haunting legacy has become an integral part of its identity, weaving together the tangible and intangible into a rich tapestry of meaning. It stands as a testament to the enduring power of place, the way spaces can carry and convey the weight of human experience across generations. The palace's walls hold not only art and history, but the very essence of memory itself, alive and resonant. As the palace continues to welcome visitors from around the world, it remains a site of wonder and mystery. The stories whispered in its corridors, the shadows glimpsed in its mirrors, and the chill felt in its chambers invite each generation to discover their own connection to Versailles' past. The palace is not frozen in time. It is a living mansion where history breathes and mystery endures. In this timeless space, the grandeur of human achievement and the haunting presence of memory coexist, offering a profound meditation on the passage of time and the legacy we inherit. Château de Versailles, with all its brilliance and shadows, stands as an eternal symbol of history's complexity, a place where the luminous and the spectral entwine, and where the story of France unfolds endlessly beneath the moonlit sky. If you love this story, like the video and subscribe,